Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday, the 28th of May. I want to talk about whether Jesus was teaching a different God, not the God of the Bible, not the God of the Old Testament. And he was not. He was showing the way to becoming one with that God. That is what he showed. Now, I want to start with two things before. One is this whole thing became again a little bit clearer to me what is actually happening in that book, what is being said in that book. It became a bit clearer to me because I was again listening to Paul Wallace and Mauro Bellino. Now they're doing something that is very true and extremely important. And that is they are showing that the beings that are called gods in the Bible are actually solid beings. Yeah? And they, to my mind, they are. And it is very important that we see them in that way. Because if you see something as a solid being, you know you're not talking about the all. You're not talking about the fullness of the Creator, but only one part. And that is extremely important that we know that. They are not all. So yes, in that way, it is important that we have the knowledge of Paul Wallace, Mauro Bellino, and those that talk about this as a solid reality, solid beings. But they are now going too far because they are now saying that the Bible is speaking just about material events. There is no spirituality in the Bible, and there is. There is spirituality in the Bible, and it is powerful, and it creates. So, what is in the Bible? Is it material or is it spiritual? It is both. That is one thing. There is no choice in that. It is both. And in that, to me, it is a reflection, the true reflection of creation and of what we are. We are both. It is not a choice that we have to make, either be material or be spiritual, and only one of them is the truth. The truth of us is that we are both. And that truth is reflected in the Bible. Now, that's the first thing. The second thing is, where did this teaching come from? The teaching of Jesus, the teaching in the New Testament, which is a spiritual teaching. It is talking about a spiritual practice that will create a reality, a solid reality. So where did this teaching come from? And no, Jesus did not just drop out of the heavens, out of nowhere. Yeah, he created out of nothing. He didn't. He was the end of a very long line of teachings, Jewish teachings. What we call Jewish mysticism, there's nothing mystic about it. That's science. It's spiritual science. It works. But he came from a long line. He was just the end result of it. Now, one form of Jewish mysticism is the Kabbalah. And I heard a teacher of the Kabbalah talking about the New Testament, and he said that is obviously a Kabbalistic teaching, and I nearly fell off my chair. I was in shock. I was having end time visions, like cats and dogs lying together and all of that, because they reject the New Testament. But he said it's obviously a Kabbalistic teaching. But then he said, well, there's a problem with it. And I thought, thank God for that. The end is not nigh. We're not won yet. Good. And then that same teacher said something about the Kabbalah, which was something that I heard years ago, and it stayed with me. It had no place to live. It was like a puzzle piece that didn't fit anywhere, but it didn't go away. It stayed with me. And that piece just slotted in yesterday. And what he said was, the aim of the Kabbalah, the aim of that spiritual works that you are doing when you enter any spiritual teaching, the aim of the Kabbalah is not to change reality. Reality remains unchanged. It is what it is. What changes is the way you see it. And that is extremely important. Again, that you understand what a spiritual teaching does. It does not change reality. It changes you. It changes your perception. Your perception comes out of the consciousness that you are. I am is your perception. And it changes that. It shifts. Kingdom within first, and then the rest will be added onto you. You will see reality differently. And out of that, you will react differently. You will react differently in reality. So that is the important bit that we need to understand about spiritual teachings. If you enter any spiritual teaching, you better know what the outcome is supposed to be, because you will be the outcome. It will change you. You will become a different kind of consciousness. You will be reborn into a different kind of consciousness. And that is what this whole New Testament teaching is about. Jesus does not proclaim a different God. God is the reality outside of us, a separate being, and that remains unchanged. The being itself remains unchanged. God is constant. God is unchanging. We change in the way that we see Him. And there is the way of denial of self. Now again, Paul Wallace was talking when he said he's proclaiming a different God, which he's not. And we know that actually, again, Christians that think the Father of Jesus that he's talking about is a God of love and compassion. The truth of God was revealed in the book of the Revelation. You've already been told that. You're waiting for it to become a solid reality around you so that you really know it. You could just believe on what the book says. There's not love and compassion. The angels are not coming from New Jerusalem in order to heal. They're coming to slaughter. God has not changed. There's not a different God. Right, but Paul Wallace, as I said, he was basing this idea that Jesus is talking about a new God on passages in John that I want to read now. And again, from the perspective that this is just material and really leaving any kind of spirituality out of it. And then you do not see the truth, because this is spiritual. So the passage was when Jesus was talking to the priests in the temple. Yeah? And he said, if God were your father, you would love me. For I proceed forth and came from God, neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do ye not understand my speech, even because ye cannot hear my words? Ye are of your father, the devil, and the lusts of your father. Another translation says the desires. So in the lusts or the desires of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, from within himself. He speaketh of his own. For he is a liar and the father of it. And because I tell you the truth, ye believe me not? Which of you convinces me of sin? And if I say the truth, why do ye not believe me? So that's the one passage. The other passage is John 10. That's the one I want to pick. Starting at 34. Is it not written in your law, I said, ye are gods? That is Psalm 82. I say, ye are gods. If he called them gods unto whom the word of God came, and the scripture cannot be broken, say ye of him whom the Father has sanctified and sent into the world, thou blasphemest, because I said I am the Son of God. Right. Here's the thing. Christians, again, have elevated Jesus to be God. He's not. He never proclaimed to be God. He's the Son of God, and there's a very important difference. He's not God himself. He is the Son of God, but he is the fullness of the mind of God. He has accepted God as his Father. And he is a true son to that God, being of his mind, which is not the mind of a human being. Let me show you this. So when he says to the priests, yeah, God is not your father. You are not the sons of God. God is a being that you are separated from, that you judge, and here comes your conscience, your knowledge of good and bad judges God, and you know God to be a liar from your own truth, from within your own truth. You know God to be a liar. You know him to be a devil. But here comes, you're doing his desires, you're doing his lusts, but you're not one with him. And actually what that causes then is the two-minded man, and it is cognitive dissonance. What's happening there? You're in a state of cognitive dissonance, and that means you feel the discomfort, you feel the conflict, the discomfort of a person when their behavior does not align with their values or beliefs. So that your behavior outside does not align with the truth inside of you, your knowledge of good and bad, your judgment, You're going against your own judgment. That is what's creating the conflict. They are doing his lust, they're doing his desire because it serves them, because that is what they want to do, and what's the thinking, a little bit of what you want doesn't do you any harm. Well, it does, because you're in sin. You are in sin, and the wages of sin is death. You are in the permanent conflict inside of yourself. And Jesus said, get out of the conflict. And here comes. That is the way to become one with God, with that God, to be of his mind. It is a lie from our perspective, but not from his. He does not see himself as a liar. He sees himself as the truth. That's our judgment. Again, we're doing his will, we're going against our judgment. So Jesus said, become one with the mind of God. And then the way to do that is to do away with the accuser. Throw Satan out of your heaven. Do not allow that voice that speaks against it. Beat it down. Crucify it. Do away with it. And then you can become one with the mind of God. And yes, you can do his desires and his lusts, but without any conflict. You can be at peace whilst doing it. You are at peace, in the peace of God, because you're in the mind of God. You and the Father have become one. And that is a shift of consciousness. That is a rebirth into a different consciousness, into the kingdom of heaven, into the mind of the Father. And there will be peace, because there will be nothing speaking against it anymore. Not our knowing. We're no longer going by our knowing. Our knowing does no longer exist. So no, Jesus did not, the way of Jesus does not speak about a different Father. There is no change in the Father. There's no change in God. God remains unchanged. The reality outside remains unchanged. The shift occurs inside. You are the one that is changing, and with it, everything else will change. So, I said this is a spiritual teaching. It is the Word of God, it is the knowledge of God that creates a reality, creates man in the image of God to be like him. And is this just hocus pocus? It's not. It works. It creates a reality, and I know it creates a reality because I have seen the fruit of this teaching in this world. It has created. It has created a man, a people. And where this word has created is in the Zionists. They are the true followers of Jesus, and in them they have become the fruit. Because I have watched right now It's not coming at some other point, it's here. I've seen a teenage girl, a beautiful teenage girl, standing at the edge of Gaza and proclaiming, we should kill them all. We should go in there and kill them all. That would be the right thing to do. And in her, there was absolutely no conflict. There was no voice saying that is wrong. That was her truth. And she was at peace with that truth. It was the only truth in existence. We shall go in there and we shall kill them all. There's peace, there's certainty, there's no wavering, and there was also joy and excitement amongst others. I heard them too. Excitement about that they should possess the land, that the land should be theirs. Excitement about what they were about to receive once they had killed them all. Because it is the will of God. There is no humanity there speaking against it. They are the sons and the daughters of God. They have gone through the shift of consciousness. They no longer judge according to a human being, but according to the will of God. And here, a spiritual teaching has created a solid reality. And there you can see how powerful it is. Yeah, it's not hocus pocus. It is real. And it creates. So, I was thinking, because the word, this teaching was sown into the minds of the people, the seed, to work inside of a person, to create inside of a person. It was sown in Jerusalem, or in that area, 2,000 years ago, but it didn't grow there, because the temple rejected it for reasons of their own. Yeah, as Jesus said, they like to do the works, they like to do the desire and the lusts, but they don't want to become. Jesus said become. So they rejected the teaching. Jesus said become to end the conflict inside, to be at peace. So it did not grow. So they rejected it, and it did not grow in that area of Palestine. It grew in the diaspora, and it returned home. It has come home. The word has returned home in the form of the Zionists. They are the true sons of God, sons and daughters of God. They are His truth. They stand in His truth. They know according to His truth. So what does that mean for us? If a spiritual teaching can create us, what does that mean for us? Or where is that God? Because Christians are on their knees, all religious people are on their knees, waiting for something to come to save them. Again, Christians are deceived. He is a liar. If you're still human, you know He's a liar. If you become godly, you no longer know God. It becomes the truth. But he is a liar. And if Christians think the God that is coming is a God of love and compassion, they are deceived. Although the book does tell them the truth of God, they refuse to see it. So people are waiting for something to happen. And again, for something to happen outside of us, it must happen inside of us. We must become what we want to have reflected back at us, really, by the world. We need to become that. So what is it we want? What is it we're waiting for? What kind of God is it we're waiting for? A God of love and compassion, yes. We want that. We also want a strong God, to be quite honest. Most do. Something that will protect us from this lunacy. So we want love, compassion, we want strength, and we want justice. There's a real craving for justice in this world. All of those things are within us. The knowledge of that is within us. We need to become it. The God that we are waiting for is a possibility that is contained within us. And we must make it a reality by becoming that reality. As I said, the only way out of it is for us to become the true image of our own truth. Anyway, so this is really what this whole book is about. Well, the New Testament is about. It is about coming into agreement with God. God does not change. Jesus is not proclaiming a different God. He says, I bring the truth of God because I'm within the truth of God. I'm no longer separated from the truth of God by a human judgment. But I am within him, the Father and I are one. And I'm speaking his truth. And you should all become that to do away with the pain of cognitive dissonance. Do no longer be a two-minded person. Become godly. And the pain will go away. There will be clarity, there will be peace. And you see the peace of God in the Zionists. They are him. He is what he is, and he creates what he creates, and he's creating it through them. And through them you can hear his voice. We should kill them all, and we should possess the land. And there's absolutely no conflict in them about, when they say that. Anyway, here folks, I leave it at that for today, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.